welcome to CIO News. I'm Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and a contributing editor at CIO News. This is an exclusive fireside chat powered by Avaya on transformation through customer experience. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, which is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn. Businesses are built by the experience they provide, and every day millions of those experiences are delivered by Avaya. Avaya is shaping what's next for the future of work with innovation and partnership that deliver game-changing business benefits. Let me dive in introducing my guest for today. She is Ramya Balasubramanian. She's the head digital and customer experience for one of our best known brands, which is Asian Paints. Ramya is the marketing professional with 17 years of experience in customer experience management, direct marketing, CRM, loyalty management, services marketing, product marketing, e-commerce, etc. Ramya has worked for several well-known brands like LG, Crossword, and Lifestyle. Ramya has rich experience in conceptualizing and implementing new innovative healthcare projects right from scratch to success, and also developing business plan, process improvement, resource allocation, budgets, cost utilization in projects. Welcome, Ramya.
Thank you. Thank you, Khushbu, for saying those kind things about me and for having me. Thank you.
So I also have Nilesh Marathe. He is the Digital Engagement Solutions Leader at Avaya, India. Nilesh has rich experience of 17 years in the contact center and unified communication space. He's worked for organizations like Nortel, Microsoft, Avaya. Nilesh has deep understanding in the engagement solution, the contact center engagement solution, and has a good know-how on customer journey mapping and devising the digital transformation strategy. Nilesh has led the way in digital transformation journey powered by artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, cloud, and emerging technologies. Welcome, Nilesh.
Thank you, Khushbu. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. So over to you, Nilesh, to drive this fireside chat.
Great. Hi, Ramya. All right. So welcome again.
Thank you.
Nice to have you on this particular forum. So let's get going with it. Let me start with your something that is close to you, and that's your role currently, the digital transformation led by the disruption in digital technology. In a way, COVID has enforced organization to look at the digital way. How do we reach out to the customers? How do you do business, etc. But Asian Paints is known for leveraging the technology for a number of years now. So in maybe a little earlier, or maybe because of the pandemic, how's your experience has been? How are you managing your customer experience, and how are you leveraging the digital channels uh, more now than ever to deliver the superior customer experience to end customer, to the dealers, your customers, everyone, right? So your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
thank you. So of course, pandemic has pretty much changed the baseline for everybody. What we thought, how we wanted to operate, the customer experience plans we had lined up, the efficiency matrices that we wanted to change, everything was turned on its head, right? But the first principles on which we've always looked at technology or digitization, those remain. So at Asian Paints, for pretty much most of our decisions that we make on processes or technology, it's sort of anchored in the customer experience that we want to build. And in customer experience, what are those strategic interventions that matter for us and matter for the customer in turn also, right? So that really sort of decides what is the technology, how much of technology, what is the digitization direction, what process changes, whatever we do, it's sort of anchored in what customer experience we want to build, which, if you think about in return, is anchored in the reality of a customer's life, how they go about making decisions, how they experience a home painting, how they experience buying products at the shop, choosing colors before they really buy, So it's all of those realities that sort of decide what experience we want to build, and in turn, what technology we want to choose. So that is what the pandemic has completely changed now. There was a time when, I mean, of course, it's true that paints is not a casual information acquiring sort of a category. Like, we all casually acquire information about the latest car, latest mobile phone, the best fashion brands, but we never do that about paints. We never say, oh, okay, which is the latest paint in the month. It doesn't happen like that, right? People go about acquiring that information only when they have to actually paint the house. Yeah. So, given that context, a lot of customers don't invest too much time in that research and acquisition. It's all a bit overwhelming for anybody because you also have the rest of your life and rest of things to do. So, given that context, the first thing most of our customers wanted to do was get somebody home. किसी को घर भेज दो, we're just going to get the house measured. He will tell us what paint, he will tell us who's the contractor, he will do everything for us. Like this, we'll evaluate a bunch of things and then we'll go on to do the painting, right? So getting somebody home to look at your walls to do the measurement was literally the first step, and now that first step is not true anymore. People don't want strangers to just saunter into the house. People want, there was a time when people were not ready to sort of speak over the phone. They said, oh, okay, I'll do all my internet research and then I speak with somebody. And then now they will speak, but they're still not ready to get somebody home. So that in-home interaction has dramatically reduced for us, and we see that it will continue even when the pandemic situation changes. Some behavior changes will sort of remain. So that is where we see the next thrust of technology use in customer experience we see happening. So we will have to, I mean, of course, we're already using decentralized ways of, video calls, WhatsApp, online color consultation. These things have already started, but we see that growing more and more. So even before somebody actually comes into your house, how can you get all the information and everything ready? So when the first visit happens, you're actually ready to put the brush to the wall or ready to install the kitchen or get going with the bath installation. So that is going to be the biggest shift for us in CX. Yeah. Sorry, hey, Nilesh, I think you're on mute. I'm able to hear you.
All right, okay. Put myself on mute and you keep forgetting unmuting yourself. All right, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Just a follow thing on so you mentioned number of steps that you take to improve the customer experience, making their life a little bit easier. Uh, is there a way you measure it? How it was, let's say 5 years back, and then you introduce certain steps, and this is what has changed. How do you measure customer experience in your field, in your
Yeah. Yeah.
industry?
This is actually something that plagues all CX professionals, right? How do you measure it? And there's really no sort of one yardstick that's relevant for all brands or one yardstick that's relevant for all the things that a brand does, right? I mean, if you sort of think about it, a brand like Asian Paints, we're also building relationship with our customers. Then we're sort of delivering some end-to-end service, and then we're doing it through certain touch points, and we want to measure all of this. We want to measure if we've built the right relationship. We want to measure if that start to end of the service journey, was it fruitful, was it value adding, is it sustainable? And then we also want to measure every touch point. Did the call center do its job? Does the home visit do its job? Did the form fill do its job? So it's a mix of it. So what we do at Asian Paints is this is now sort of broken down into three things, right? The relationship measure, the sort of the service journey or the experience measure, and then there's the touch point measure. So we have matrices that run across all of this. So the relationship measure, we use a customer lifetime value. And then for a touch point, we use NPS, which is a more established and sort of gives us that identification of, okay, will this customer really refer, will come back, so it's a much more emotional way to understand what the customer really thinks about the brand. And then the brass tacks, every touch point has distinct KPIs from time to call to average handling time to first call resolution, goes up to the visit time, the turnaround time for a complaint. So every touch point then also has KPIs which are more efficiency centric, which don't really dial back to actually the emotions and the needs of the customer, but they're the means to us getting there. Yeah, so that's sort of how we measure our customer experience across the spectrum of these three.
Great, great. Just so, and taking it a little bit ahead, so there are digital channels that you talked about. Now, you also mentioned people whenever they are re-decorating their homes, they want somebody to come over and do the stuff, right? So that means you're calling somebody, uh, maybe as a customer. And when I decorated my house, I I did not do a lot of research, but at least went to the Asian Paints website, see what is available, went here and there and checked. How do you track, or do you? The first thing is, do you track this customer interactions across the customer touch points? Now, digital channels, there are so many digital channels. There's a social media, there are email, web chat, websites. Now you have the apps as well, right? So, do you, first of all, do you track, and how do you use? What kind of analytics that you use? What kind of KPIs, or the level of information that you extract, and what kind of insights you derive from that?
Yeah. Yeah. So for us, analytics and business intelligence sort of powers two distinct things actually. The first is, um, are we true to the business objectives that we're driving? Or all these touch points, the website, the mobile app, the call center interaction, the in-home interaction, the in-store interaction, all of these, are they really meeting the business objectives? Are they efficient enough? So we have certain matrices that help us track and assess that. You asked about, analytics. How do you really track customers coming to your website? What they interact? Do they also go to your app? So for us, the customer journey, or this decision making journey, is really really complex, and in a lot of cases also long drawn. Like, people acquire information in bits and pieces because it's also overwhelming. So we have, in the polar ends, we have two distinct types of customers who want to know everything there is about painting, which is quite painful, and then customers who don't want to know anything. They just want to get somebody and start work. So even if we look at these polar ends of customers, their decision journeys are complex. They interact at multiple touch points, and so it's important for us to have some kind of a framework that attempts to know this customer as she traverses through these touch points. She's on the website, she's downloading the app, then she's calling our call center, and then she's visiting a store, she's picking up an online service. So while she does all this, it's important for us to know. So we know that what is an ideal journey, what is a journey we should sort of try and drive for other customers, and what should we really measure. So we have some basic analytic systems on our website, which tells us what is the web behavior. And then we also have a customer data platform that stitches together all of the known customer and unknown customer information. So we use analytics from the CDP platform to understand what our customers are really doing across touch points, and which is the touch point that's really working well for conversion, which is the touch point that's a great starting point, which is the touch point that's a great end point. So we know what touch point plays what role, so we can anchor it well in that role and drive the successes. And then we also know what's sort of not working and what we should dial down, or maybe take a little bit of investment, or make it easier for people, or not keep it there. So we use a combination of web analytics and a combination of our CDP data to really see how is the CX journey manifesting and what we should fix. I hope I
Yeah.
answered your question. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. In a way, you did. Yeah, and
Right.
fortunately, I also discuss this topic with one of your IT team members on
Oh,
while
okay.
discussing. So they did mention about the CDP and the kind of work you are doing. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, and thank you for adding a little bit more to that.
Thank you.
So, uh, let me take you to the slightly different questions. Now, we are in the second year of pandemic, second lockdown that we are going through right now, right across the country. Most of the states are going through. And it all started in the month of March last year. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
literally no notice, the businesses had to shift everything while not coming to office. Right, everyone was
Yeah.
in the. So how did you go about it? In your business, the one that you're handling, all of a sudden the next day, Monday morning onwards, nobody's going to coming to office, but yet you need to. There are
Yeah.
customers to be serviced, right? You need to still
Yeah.
business to run. what
Yeah.
challenges that you face? How did you go about it? And obviously
Yeah.
there was a learning curve, long 1 year, and then now we have we were thrown into second lockdown. So I'm sure there are some
Yeah.
learnings, but just want to hear from you on those things.
Yeah, yeah. I'll sort of divide it into our experience. Personally, my experience, because I was at the decision table myself and rather stressed, and then what learnings that we're sort of now left with, which I'm sure history will test, and these learnings will be relevant in no time. But yeah, so the first wave and the first lockdown, um, I think it was end February when all of us were talking, oh, okay, markets in China, they're all closing down. This might actually come to India also. And our BPO partner in Telenet was really quick to alert us, saying, okay, our international partners are a little stressed about this. So we're putting a work from home plan, we're keeping it ready. We don't know if it'll come to it or not, but we're just keeping it ready, right? So this was in end February. And none of us have seen a pandemic in our life, right? So it felt so unreal that suddenly everything will shut down. We all thought, okay, the worst is maybe they'll shut down schools, maybe they'll shut down the train, like, crowded areas, maybe they'll get shut down. But who's going to shut down offices? It was really the chatter in our own minds and in our office also. And this was in February. Come first week March, and we started hearing that internationally things were shutting down, like China was completely shut down, and that led to a bit of panic, and then we moved really fast, and our partner moved really, really fast. They had to secure devices, they had to we're actually still not on cloud CRM, so they had to set up connections, PRIs, hand out, and a lot of our agents don't have good internet connections at home, so providing them with dongles, sourcing all of that, they were stellar. I mean, we did struggle the first few weeks. I think 21st of March is when the first lockdown started. So for a week after that, we had to put a message out to our customers saying, sorry, we're struggling a bit. We won't be able to answer your calls. So we took a bit of a hit there, but that was just for a week, literally just elbow grease, and we got everything back on track. So this was the first one. And in the second one, when everything started opening up, 10%, 20%, 30% of employees still started coming back to office, and things started sort of stabilizing. And again, the second wave suddenly caught us off guard, and we again had to shut everything down. But by this time, we were wiser, right? We were fully prepared. We knew how many of them had to work from home, what's the kind of rostering we'll done. We already had the PRIs, and we already had the setups, and everything was there. So the second move, cut over and move, was actually it was a no-brainer. But the first one, so that's the experience. So the learning, actually, for us, the biggest learning is um, just keep your ears open. We're never going to be an isolated market, not just about pandemics or stock markets. I think even customer expectations, changes, technology waves, all of it. We're truly a global community now. So I think it's important for us to work with partners who have that access to that sort of global audience and can transfer that information and best practices to us, and also to be able to act quickly. I mean, at Asian Paints, we're very proud of our agility. The minute we know, the minute we've acted. So I think that is extremely important. If we had sat on our haunches, twiddling our thumbs, wondering, oh, should we really do it? Let's check how expensive it is, or let's take approvals. I think we would have lost a good number of days and a good amount of business. So speed
Yeah.
to decision really changed it for
Yeah.
us. So that's yeah.
So in this context, we spoke with so many people, so many the business leads, CIOs. One common theme was coming across that the people were a little worried. Not initially, initial first couple of weeks, a month, were all about getting people work from home, settling down, etc. But
Yeah.
as then it become norm, then the challenges started emerging. How about the productivity? How about the data
Yeah.
security? I'm not sure whether
Yeah.
the data security is of your concern here in your industry, but how about the productivity? Where are the right people working on? So, did you have those kind of challenges, or How was it?
Yeah. I mean, I would be lying if I say that we didn't have those productivity challenges. I think it's also human. Like all of us struggled working from home. Unable to demarcate our home life and our work life, and juggling between childcare and elder care, and so we struggled with that too a bit actually.
Mm,
But we sort of took a human route to it, also because our business allowed us to take a human route to it. We staffed a few more agents. We were willing to take that kind of cut. Our BPO partner was beyond supportive.
mhm,
They did not hike prices. They worked on bare minimum margins. They were
mhm,
beyond supportive because they also wanted to put their people first before really anything else. So we work on lesser productivity when we work from home. It's the truth, and we're actually okay with it. We're
So you're
um,
okay with that? Basically, it was a
we're
business.
okay with
So all
it.
right.
Yeah, because our business allows us to not still work on 90% occupancy. Our occupancy dips marginally, but it's not a loss for us. Our ROIs are still very solid, so we're okay to take that call. But we also did put in place some, like a manual plus a tech-driven monitoring mechanism. We didn't want our agents to feel like there was the big brother watching and they
Mhm.
can't even breathe. I think that's such an oppressive way for anybody to work. So we put a mix of um, like TLs calling up and coaching and hand holding them, and also giving them more directions, and then having a number of hours clocked in on a day. So we
Yeah.
sort of worked it out that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. Thank you for that. Just a last question, and not from an IT perspective. I just want to have from a business perspective, just your views on we see a cloud is a norm, right? And every new technology, even the existing customers are moving their existing platforms on the cloud. Uh, that's it's a cloud first approach everywhere. From a business perspective, how do you see it happening within Asian Bench, or your own thought process on those lines? Is it
I'm going to be I'm going to be brutally honest to this question. I'm told cloud is the future, and nobody is investing development resource on on-prem. So I'm going to be left with an on prem solution that's probably a decades old. So just to have the new technology, and I'm given to understand that SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, everybody is going to invest only in cloud. So, I mean, as a business user, I want what's new and I want what's best. So it's just that also that's sort of powering why we're signing off cloud. But inherently, our engineering and IT teams are helping us understand that the agility that we are prizing so much, the speed to market, can become a reality only when we are in cloud solutions. And that for us is of extreme importance, especially in today's market, because today our competitors are not just your old world paint companies. The dynamic has completely changed, right? So a lot of new age internet first companies are actually our competitors. So
that's right?
technology and digitization and agility in that space is going to define our competitive advantage. And we see cloud-based technologies helping us in that space. So that's one of the key reasons why somebody like me or anyone in a business role who steadfast doesn't wear a technology hat would also still want cloud services. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And thank you. That's about. I don't have any more questions. And thank you for being crisp and to the point. Ramya, thank you for your insights. That concludes my session. So, Khushbu, over to you again.
Thank you so much, Nilesh, for driving this discussion. Thank you so much, Ramya, for such candid conversation, sharing all your insights with us and your journey. I just maybe hear from you your experience on being on CIO News chat, and maybe if you can just share your experience with a quick one or two lines, that'd be good.
I'd be happy to. So I have severe anxiety talking to strangers and being on camera, honestly. So, but everybody at CIO News has been more than warm and very friendly, and you've made it very easy for me to just come on this platform and share my, 2 cents and really participate. In fact, from your initial team of colleagues who reached out to set the context, they were very clear, very brief, and very helpful in sort of answering all my questions and addressing my anxiety. So it's been a really warm, welcoming, and friendly interaction with everybody at CIO News. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Ramya. Thank you